Hey, good evening. What's going on, everybody? It's another episode of Army Reenlistment's live stream. Myself, I'm Master Tim Donahue, and I got the squad with me. I got Sergeant First Class Sam Block. Sam, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Sam's living her best life in New Hampshire right now, so she's doing her thing. Shantae, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. All right, so tonight we have a great show for you. As career counselors, we deal with soldiers every day, and we are always helping soldiers get what they want, right? But a lot of times they'll be like, "Man, you ain't just you making stuff up, you're pulling it from air." But that's not how it works. So a soldier asks us for something, there's somebody that helps us get that. Whether it be through reenlistment, through reclassification, or more importantly, getting that money from bonuses. So we're lucky enough tonight to have those people that actually run those programs and help you get paid, help you get that assignment, and help you get that MOS that you want. So they call it Retention and Reclassification Branch, RRB. And we have three of the main people there, so we're going to bring them on. We have Sergeant Major DeCarlo Johnson. What's going on, Sergeant Major? How you doing tonight?
Good evening. How y'all doing today?
Can't complain. Sergeant Major is the Sergeant Major of the RRB, but he's going to talk about the retention piece right now tonight. We also have Mr. Jamie Smith. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Can't complain. Jamie runs the reclassification part up there at HRC. And then we got Mr. Brandon Race. Brandon, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me, man. Looking forward to it.
And Brandon is going to be the one that you really want to talk to and talk with, because Brandon is the money man. Brandon helps with the SRBs, those the selected retention bonuses, right? So we're going to jump right into it. You can start asking us your questions on the side, and we'll be there. But before we start doing that, we're going to let them introduce themselves a little bit. So, Sergeant Major, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your Army story and what you do up at HRC.
How you doing? My name is Sergeant Major Johnson. Like you said, I'm working at a retention and reclassification branch. Today is my 28th year in the Army.
28? Oh, happy Army anniversary!
Yes, I've been doing this thing for a while. I started out as a 12 Yankee, which is a topographic engineer, and I went to Hawaii, and I decided that I want to become a career counselor to help soldiers, to make sure that I can get a soldier what they need and what they want. And this has been a great journey. I love what I do, and I got a great team up at a retention reclassification branch where we try to get assignments, we try to get class seats. We do everything we can to make sure a soldier can stay in the Army in this all volunteer force.
Friday, July 2nd.
Nah, I appreciate that. Sergeant Major is the one that, when he's in charge of all of the people up there, the NCOs and the civilians up there that help get you the assignments. So if you ever ask your career counselor, hey, Sergeant Donnie, you don't want to go to Hawaii, and I tell you, hey, you got to give me a couple of days, let me check it out. I'll send that hotline up. It goes through the channels, and then Sergeant Major's team will be the ones that will help you with that. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Jamie, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do up at HRC.
So my name is Jamie Smith. I've joined the Army and worked for the Army in a capacity one way or another as a civilian or a soldier since 1987. I was 17 years old. I started out and was a 19-kilo tanker for 10 years, and then I switched over to a career counselor. I've served in various duties positions. I was a recruiter, but I've been at HRC now for a little over 10 years. I oversee two teams. I got one team that does the reclassifications for soldiers that are not in the reenlistment window, and I have another team that does exceptions to policies for the soldiers who desire to stay in the Army but need an exception for one thing or another. So when Sergeant Donahue and his team and the other career counselors across the Army, they need an exception or they want to do a reclass, as he said, he'll send a hotline up, and I have a small group of people that work that action for you to try to get you the best possible resolution that we can.
Okay. And then Mr. Race, Brandon, tell us a little bit about your Army story, how you were affiliated, and then tell us about what you do at HRC, because I know everybody wants to hear about the money.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but I basically joined in '95 as a truck driver. Did that for about 8 years, and then reclassified to career counselor and did that for about 12 years. I quit right at 20 because I had an opportunity to do what I do now, which is manage the bonuses to make sure that all of the stuff that we do from a bonus perspective is in accordance with Army policy. So And then we send out the bonuses to get paid, and then also resolve any errors that may come about due to career counselor error or, that type of thing, TSP validation. So love to do it.
Yeah. Hey, we get questions about bonuses all the time.
Perfect.
And people want to get paid. Sergeant Major, so with your team, how long does the actions take usually, and what kind of actions do you process? Just not the assignments, but what other kind of actions? Is it like if somebody has if somebody's like pregnant and they can't go somewhere, their branch manager can't put them, or EFMP or anything like that?
Yeah, we actually handle a great deal of deletion and deferments with soldiers who, like this past year with COVID, we handle every deletion and deferment that dealt with COVID for retention, which were over at least at the time was about 6,000 requisitions that we had to deal with. And we did it through spreadsheets. We didn't ask for any kind of hotline, anything. Everything was done through a spreadsheet. So our team was able to take care of that. What EFMP and MACP is our biggest thing. With family travel disapprovals, we take care of those when we have to renew the contracts to a different assignment because they can't go to overseas because their family travel disapproved. We handle class seats where you can't go to school because you're pregnant, and we have to change your seats out. We get new seats. We battle that every day with different training seats. We take care of soldiers who are just need a compassionate and they're on a reenlistment requisition. We don't send them through compassionate. We try to take care of it by doing a renegotiation of the contract. There are so many different things that we do at HRC behind the scenes to make sure a soldier gets where they need to be at the right time, the right place at the right time.
Okay. On a daily basis, right? How many actions does your team handle? Would you say?
Now, we actually have in the box now. We have 898 actions in the box right now to take care of. So on a daily that a soldier, one of the managers, which we have, Sergeant First Class Fashion, who does she does CONUS assignments. We have Sergeant First Class Dunham, who does option 3, which is Army training. We got Staff Sergeant Smith, who does EFMP and MACP. We got Master Sergeant Rivera, who oversees the team. And each one of them probably, and we have Mr. Lopez, who does customer service, del deaths, deletions. We have Mr. Brown, who does MRC. Miss Price, who does everything. She know how to take care of any action that comes about. So each one of those managers probably can do at least 100 to 150 actions a day. And that's not counting the branch managers coming to the desk asking for different things or career counsel calling while they're trying to take care of other that's in the box.
Oh yeah, because I always call. I ain't gonna lie. I'm that career counsel you talk about.
Yeah, you are. You that guy that calls. But when you call, I tell you, credibility goes a long way because when a career counsel calls, if Sergeant Donahue calls and he said he needs something, I'm not going to question him because he knows what he's talking about. We have some career counsels don't do that, so we got to make sure your credibility is up there when you call HR.
I appreciate my credibility being kind of up there. I appreciate that.
It's up there today, but you know you can lose it real quick.
Hey, here today, gone tomorrow, right?
Exactly.
So you actually worked at HRC and RRB before, right?
Yes, in 2007 and 2010 as a Sergeant First Class. Just getting promoted to Sergeant First Class, I came down on orders to go to HRC. Didn't know anything about HRC. But this was the best thing that could have happened to me as a career counselor because I got to see how the Army really works and how assignments works and training works, how ATARs, EDAS, how all these systems work to get somebody somewhere where they need to be. So this was the perfect place for me. And 11 years later, I'm at HRC again, which is a great job to have. I love taking care of soldiers.
Yeah, let me tell you about Sergeant Major Johnson. So when Sergeant Major Johnson used to be a career counselor here at Fort Eustis when I was at 88 Hotel. And so I had a plan, right? I went on a deployment and my wife was supposed to get out the Army and she was going to go out. And she had maybe 4 months left. She had a urinalysis and she comes back and goes, yeah, I'm re-enlisting. I said, what? You re-enlisting? She's like, yeah, I was at the urinalysis and my career counselor told me I could get this money. And I was like, ain't this a mother, right? And I found out it was Sergeant Major Johnson. And then when I got back, but he was on the way out. He was clearing at the time, so I didn't even get to go confront him like I wanted to. That was the plan. Like, hey man, cancel this, but it didn't happen. But nah, Sergeant Major Johnson, He takes care of soldiers, even at your analysis. So we talked about that, and then we have Jamie with reclassification. We have soldiers want to re-enlist all the time. And Mr. Smith, you said that they have two ways of reclassing. And what are those two ways? You said there's one time when they're inside the reenlistment window and one time when they're outside the reenlistment window. Can you explain on that? Oh, hold on, you got to unmute yourself.
There you technology go. Challenge. So soldiers in the reenlistment window, depending on where they're at in their career, what their status of their MOS, if it has an in-call, out-call based off strengths, they get the option to reclass because they're in the reenlistment window, and it's going to generate a reenlistment for the Army and longevity for the soldier. Now, those who are not in the reenlistment window, to make sure they're not excluded to various opportunities, they could process a 4187 request in the reclass. Now, on my team, I like to compare when I brief it on the reenlistment side, as Sergeant Major said, they got 800 hotlines sitting there today. They work kind of like a mass production. I mean, they're knocking out actions all day, every day. I like to compare our side. We're like that Ferrari. It's a handmade product. My team goes in, they look at the soldiers' qualifications, and they look at what the Army needs, and they're always looking for an Army win. And some people say that's not the right approach. However, when the Army wins, the soldier wins. When the soldier wins, they win in the form of bonuses, promotions, opportunities, other career opportunities they may not have had. For instance, today I locked in 2 people that are going to school on August 13th. And the MOS I put them in, they're promoting 100% to E5. So all these soldiers have to do is graduate training, and they're going to come out as an E5 at the end of it. So that's what we do. My reclassification team, we do everything from IET. So when a soldier enlists, should they not make it through the AIT portion, I got a Sergeant First Class that processes those. He does about 4,000 actions a year. And then I have 3 reclassification folks, and they do about 8,000 in-service reclassifications. So they look at the force alignment piece, the win for the Army, the win for the soldier. My exception to policy team, which is 2 people, they do about 2,800 to 3,000 exceptions a year. And that could be anything from removing a declination statement, could be needing to exceed RCP for various reasons, or their ETS date is passed and they're no longer in the system. We work those actions to get them back in a pay status, get their ID card updated. So, we touch a lot of things. We're involved with USAREC, United States Army Recruiting Command. We do what's called a prior service business rules for them. So we provide a message to Recruiting Command to tell them what prior service by grade can come in without question. So that's something to keep in mind as well when we talk to soldiers. Well, I'll just get out and come right back in. My team actually sees, what's available and knows up front if that's going to happen or not. So they relay that information as well. We see bonuses and promotions, and we use those as decision tools. So the in and out call may say, it really doesn't make sense to put an E4 in this particular job. However, if that E4 is promotable with BLC, it does make sense because the next grade for the new job might be promoting 90%, 100%. So we actually dig into your record and we look at everything from college, correspondence courses, awards. We take your whole record and take that in consideration when we're making exception to policy decisions, reclassification decisions, and try to get the best option we can for the soldier at the same time to win for the Army.
Okay. I think I became a counselor around the same time that you started working at HRC, and I took something that you told me as a young counselor to heart. I had a soldier. My senior told me to do an exceptional policy for him. They were a dud, and you were like, exceptional policies are for exceptional people, and this guy is not an exceptional person. So, do you want to waste your time and my time? I was like, nah, and I took that with me ever since. And I've always said that. I look at it and I do exactly what you just did. Like, look at the records, dig in deep, because we got to make sure if we're going to ask for an exception to policy, they got to be an exceptional person. I took that to heart.
So every exception to policy we get, we can actually go in and go back to September of 2010 and see every exception we did, every document we received. And we can tell you within a matter of minutes how much college that soldier had, how many correspondence, how many awards. because you'll find an E4 with 4 years in the Army that needs an exception for one reason or another, may have 5 AMs, but you may also see an E5 with 13 years in the Army, 10 years in grade, 3 AMs. So we would scrutinize that E5's request because I'm definitely not a rocket scientist, and I wasn't not a 300 PTer, but I understood what it took to get promoted and went through the regimen of the schools and opportunities to do so. So, like I said, if you get a decision back and you don't agree with it, we ask that you understand and you realize that we've looked at everything in your record. And even if your career counselor doesn't send it, we'll go into iPerms and look in your record.
Wow.
We go to USEREC system. If we're trying to offer you an opportunity, we'll pull your transcripts if you gave them to the recruiter when you enlisted. So we do due diligence to make sure that we're making the right decision for the Army and for that soldier.
I'm glad you mentioned that, though, because sometimes when we have these reclassifications, these soldiers think they're going to get a quick answer. And now, since you broke that down, we know that the reason why it takes 2 weeks or however long is because you guys are going through and screening the records and making sure that they are the right person for the job that they're trying to get into. But I got a question for you. So in your personal opinion or professional opinion, do you think that an in the window reenlistment or an outside the window reenlistment is easier?
In the reenlistment is easier because you only have to do one document at 3340. You still have to qualify for what you're asking for, and there still has to be training available. So there's less signatures. So you may get the option because for reenlistment, you may be able to go from a balance to a balance.
Mm-hmm.
For outside of the window, the in and out calls indicate that you have to be an overstrength MOS requesting a shortage MOS.
Yep.
But we know that's not always the case. And we know there's opportunities and fit that are not within the overstrength to a shortage. And so what we did about 3 years ago, we put a requirement in that says if it doesn't meet the in and out calls, their strengths don't justify it on the front cover of the book, have an 06 sign it, and we'll dig into it. And if we can make sense of it, we'll prove it, whether it meets the in and out calls or not, versus just saying it doesn't meet the in and out calls, no, because we know there are plenty of opportunities out there to go against what the in and out calls dictate, because that's just a snapshot in time, looking 18 months in advance. A lot of people don't know that in and out calls, the new message that just came out, is looking through the next 18 months. We look today. So what is today? The 30th, about the 10th of June. July rather. We'll see how many people are getting promoted for August before it's public anywhere. So we use that as a tool. So we're looking at the right now. In and out call says the MOS is heavy throughout 18 months, but we're looking right now, if they're short E5, E6s, then that definitely warrants an exception. So
Gotcha.
in the window is easier, less documents, less signatures. Outside the window is worth the process.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love doing reclassifications just because what we come in may not, be what we need to retire as. So if I have a soldier come see me for a reclassification, I love it. There's no such thing as too much work when it comes to these because, you're trying to help the soldier and you're helping the Army fill those strengths. And then, speaking of that, something that soldiers don't realize is that they can get a bonus for reclassification sometimes, as long as that MOS that they're looking for is a certain tier or higher, they can qualify for that, which will transition me right into our money man, Brandon.
There you go.
I love me some Brandon. This is the first time I've actually put a face to your name, but I feel like I talk to you so often that it's really great to meet you.
You too.
Yeah. And could you tell us a little bit about, your section, what you do up there for HRC and RRP?
Sure. So Tom Whitehouse is our incentive lead. He kind of does the in-service school seats. So the ATARS work that deals with all of our retention coded MOS seats. And then he also oversees the incentives, which is what I do. And then my counterpart that I work with is Mr. James Fast Eddie. And he's basically the action officer that digs deep to find out whenever we're trying to resolve errors, is this the right thing to do for the soldier whenever we're trying to correct those errors?
Very deep.
Yeah.
Dig
And then
real deep.
Yeah. And then my part specifically is the drafting and publication of the SRB MILPER message to make sure that what we're wording in the MILPER message is in accordance with Army policy. And then also ensuring that all of the tiers that are set by MOS by grade are also within fiscal constraints as far as, how much does the Army have budgeted for the year for bonuses. And if we were to, set the recommended tiers as to how we are recommending them to the DMPM, are we still going to be within budget as far as how much we're authorized to spend annually? And that's basically what I do as far as the bonus part. So, yep.
Awesome. Well, what you just said, we have an audience question that before we forget it, I want to ask you this one because it's kind of tied into what you said as far as, helping with the verbiage of the SRB. So this person wants to know, can you clarify the chapter 5-11 on recoupment? So the verbiage states that the MOS requested is a more critical skill than the primary MOS currently held as determined by HRC. So they want to know how would their MOS be determined, whether that's the outgoing or the incoming, which one is more critical so that they know if they'll be recouped.
So basically that's obviously going to be a case by case basis, but that's going to boil down to the decision report that Jamie and his team do. And we always have those conversations because we work right in the same area. So whenever we have an issue where a soldier has a bonus, but they're reclassifying into another job that has a bonus, for the most part, the new MOS is going to be probably deemed more critical, or Jamie would have let them go to begin with. And then anytime that there might be like a question as to whether or not it's going to be recouped or not, we're always going to err on the side of the soldier and not recoup. And then we also provide a memo. If the soldier wants one and the career counselor wants one, we will provide a memo that states that recoupment of that bonus won't be sought now or any future period. That way the soldier knows that at no time in the future can they come back and say, well, you reclassified and so we're going to recoup that bonus, because we actually have that delegation of authority to be able to make those determinations at our level. So we would make that determination in accordance with the decision report that Jamie makes up, because if you also notice, the regulation also requires that if there's going to be a recoupment of a bonus, that it's going to be in the decision report as well. So, yep.
Awesome.
So what we look at is if you re-enlist it and you got a tier 3 bonus and the MOS you're asking for has a tier 7 or tier 8, obviously it's a more critical. Any MOS which is considered an application MOS, which has a harder process to apply for, it's a longer process. Usually they start out at E5 and E6 in the Army, they don't have skill level 10. Typically those would generate a higher priority. But if you're in a critical, say we had cases where a CID soldier wanted to go 35 Lima, both of them are critically short. So we had to get down to the numbers and make that decision. And like Mr. Ray said, if we approve it, we're going to typically put in the decision report that your bonus would not be recouped.
Gotcha. So here's another question our audience is probably burning to know. How are bonus tiers decided?
Okay, so we have a model that we run, and the model begins with strengths, and we have basically 2 areas of strength. You've got the current strength, and we also do a projected strength out to 18 months. That's where it begins. But then we also have other factors that are added in, that are additive, such as, how long is the training for that MOS? How hard is the training as far as the attrition rate? Is there a high failure rate? And we take those into consideration. And then what the model does is the model says, based off of all this information, we believe that the tier should be set at a particular level. Once that's complete, I go line by line to make sure that is the model making a recommendation that we can substantiate from an auditability standpoint. So let me give you an example. So if the model shows that E4 and below is at 30%, but E5 and above is at 600%, but because that skill level 1 is so short, the model wants to recommend a tier 9. Well, we know that E5s are at 600%. So even though there probably still needs to be a bonus for skill level 1, it's probably not going to be a tier 9 because what we're doing is we are directly affecting the E5 strength by offering a bonus. So instead of a tier 9, we might make a change down to, let's say, a tier 4 or tier 5 so that we're not affecting it as negatively, but we still understand that skill level 1 is going to be short at 30%. So what happens is we go line by line and then we go by to make sure that what that does is that's an accurate representation. Once we complete that process, now this is all after the in-out call is completed. So we do in-out call, precision retention, and then SRB, and that's why all 3 of those messages are released at the same time. Once we come up with a final list of what the tiers that we're going to recommend, we send that to each of the branches with an HRC, and the branches, they give us feedback such as, E6, 35 tangos are geographically dispersed. There's only one at any location. So even though they're only at 97%, it's very critical that we not lose any more because they're in standalone positions. So instead of lowering the bonus, can we keep the bonus where it's at? We would take that feedback and then consider that whenever we're trying to either make a reduction or even possibly an addition. And then once that's complete, we send that up to DMPM for their signature since they're the authority to determine that. So.
Okay. And in case you're just joining us a little bit late, in case you wonder why you have 6 people on the screen, tonight we have the Army's retention and reclassification branch on the live stream. Sergeant Major Johnson, the NCOIC, the head honcho. Actually, I'll take that back. He's not the NCOIC. He's the Department Sergeant Major, right? I don't want to say NCOIC. I don't want the greatest position, right? Then we got Mr. Jamie Smith, who is the head of EMT, but most importantly for y'all out there, reclassification. That's what his lane. He runs that. And then we have Mr. Brandon Race, who is in charge, just to simplify things. He's where your bonus money comes from, right? And that's what he's answering questions about. So that's what
Mr. Race, how much money do you manage a day being spent?
Typically, we send between 400 and 500 bonuses a week, and that comes to about 6 or 7 million a week. Our annual budget this year is 404 million. So.
A lot of money on the table out there is what you're saying.
A lot of money on the table. Yep.
A lot of money.
Anything coming to counselors? I'm just saying. No.
That ain't happening. Sam, you have some comments from the audience?
So we have one from Nicholas Hasbrook. Specialist promotable, just approved reclass 74 Delta and precision retention, but now selected to pin sergeant on 1 July. Since that'll make them no longer precision retention, can the soldier stay as a 12 Tango, or do they have to reclass?
The soldier could submit a request. They have to put their signature on it and request to cancel their pending 74 Delta training, which I personally love getting 74 Delta training. However, if I was that soldier's crew counselor, I would point out to them, I'm looking at promotions right now. 74 Delta is short 220 E4s. They're short 183 E5s and 162 staff sergeants. For staff sergeants, for July 1st, they were short 162, had 0 eligible, 0 promotions.
Wow.
So how much did you really like being a 12 Tango is what I would ask. Or would you like to stay in something that's basically got a straight shot to E7 with bonuses at every step? So if I was your crew counselor, that's the things I would be talking to you about versus, hey, great, you get to stay at 12 Tango. So when I look at 12 Tangos.
Oh, he's going real official on us.
Yeah, he went to official documentation.
That's what he does.
You got to open and everything.
So, when you talked about earlier, personal, it's never personal. It's always business with us. We don't have a stake in the game. We don't know the people. And we're going to tell them straight up facts. So 12 Tango is 156% strength at E4. They're 100%, 102% actually for E5. There was 31 eligible. They promoted 4. So go back and look at the last year. How many did they promote to E5 over the last year? I will tell you 74 Delta in the last few months have promoted 300 plus to E5. E6, they're 100%. They got non-eligible and they promoted 2. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to make E6 based on those numbers. You're competing against 9 people. or you want to look at something that's short, 162 staff sergeants. That's guaranteed money, guaranteed promotion, guaranteed bonus, guaranteed career opportunities. And what happens when you make staff sergeant? You're eligible to stay to 20 years and retire. So that's the things I would talk. But if you absolutely want to be a 12 tango and that's your thing, get with your counselor, do a request to cancel that training. Do it as soon as possible, because we're going to try to hand jam somebody in that seat to give them those opportunities.
So more of the story is, do you want to stay in, or you want to get out?
Popped up 74 Delta has more opportunities to work in different commands. So it's definitely probably a better idea to stay on the road to 74 Delta. Sounds like.
Hey, we got a comment from the audience. So I made this one. So I guess towards you, I can't really read that well. So, I got a Boston public school education. So this one say, Iona, I think it means I owe you a huge thank you, Sergeant Major. I don't know. I think that's what it means, the Una. I don't know. Maybe that might be like Geechee. I don't know.
It's UA. Go ahead.
Recently got a reclass packet approved for 79 Sierra. Looking forward to reclass next year. So somebody thinks that you got them as a 79 Sierra, this Travis McKeever person.
I don't know. I help so many people, man. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome, but I don't know what I did for you. But I'm glad you got what you wanted, and we look forward to you becoming a career counselor.
Yeah. But we got a lot of questions. So we had a lot of questions about the reclassing. Somebody, I don't know how. Don't get me to lie to you. I do not know what language that is, what name that is, but whoever that is, they just re-up the reclass to 79 Sierra, which I guess is true, because you don't re-up the reclass to 79 Sierra, you get approved, and then you re-enlist for that service remaining requirement, but came down on PCS orders before I could get a class date. Can you please clarify what's my option? I'll let Jamie answer this one. I don't know who that is. I can't really, a whole bunch of squiggly lines, but
it sounds like they probably submitted a packet, which 79 Sierra is an application. It goes to the school. They make the decision. And somewhere in that process, before they got the approval and actually processed the reclassification, it sounds like the branch put them on assignment. So AR 601-280 tells us if you're on assignment, you can't process a reclassification. However, 79 Sierra is an application MOS. So the guidance that we put out is send it up to us. We'll give it to the 79 Sierra branch manager. And if he could collaborate with your current branch to get you released from assignment, we'll process the action. If your branch manager says no, they would not release you, there's nothing we can do. So if you've got the acceptance memo, you just didn't get to the actual submitting the application, the reclass action, have your crew counselor send it up, and we're going to give it to 79 Sierra branch manager and let branch manager to branch manager sort it out. Sometimes we come out on top, sometimes we don't.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like being in that proponent position, like even if you're on orders, if your branch is going to release you, we can get it done. So if you had to pack it up, it's still have them push it through. And the new proponent, the new senior career management NCO, Master Woody Woodside, first name Woody, Woody. If you want to look for him on Global, he'll square you away. I promise. But yeah, that's a.
But Tim, the question is, did he re-enlist for option 1 to become a 79 Sierra? But he said he didn't have a class date, so I'm confused with that part.
So what I'm guessing is that he thought that he needed enough time to meet the SRR, but they never did. They never got an accepted packet. That's what just me reading their question. That's the question that's how I figure it out. Yeah, Travis McKeever said, "Thank you, Sergeant Major." He said sorry. It glitched on the phone when I sent it from the message twice, but he did mean he owes you a thank you. So whatever you did, Travis really wants to thank you.
Hey, you're welcome and pay it forward.
So we got a lot of Nepali. Somebody said that's Nepali. I didn't know what that was, so I appreciate y'all. Go ahead. Who asked that question?
All right, here's a question. So PCS length training for AIT, 20 plus weeks is a PCS. This person has training for 18 weeks, 3 days, and wants to know if there's any sort of way that he can PCS with his family.
No, there's not, because it's not PCS length, so you can't take your family anywhere. You're gonna be on an assignment to go to a training follow-on assignment, but there's no waiver for that.
I'm glad you brought up training follow-on, Sergeant Major. So here's another one. When a soldier requests reclassification and they get their MOS that they choose, we tell the soldiers that we can guarantee them their MOS, and that their follow-on assignment we can send up what they would like, but it's still going to be in accordance with needs of the Army. Can you provide guidance on that as far as how the follow-ons, how that works once we get their MOS?
So when soldiers, when they reenlist for an assignment for option 3 for training, we have a spreadsheet. Wow, we have a number of personnel that we have to put on follow-on assignments. So we send those requests to the branch managers, and the branch managers have a say-so on where they want those soldiers to go to once they finish school. So they put them in that. The assignments don't come from us; they come from the branch managers. And if the branch managers make a decision, it goes to the readiness managers who handle the assignments within where those CMFs have to go to. So if somebody reenlists for 31 Bravo, we send that request to that branch manager. They make a decision on where they can send that soldier. It comes back to us, and we put them on assignment. Really don't have a say-so on where they go.
So we had a question. Yeah, go ahead. Somebody had pulled it up.
No, it's not.
I had pulled up. Yeah, I didn't think it was, but it was asked.
Yeah, it's not possible because they're going
PUI in return.
Yeah, it's not possible because we're going to put them on assignment to that location where they're going to training. And once they finish school, they no longer belong to retention. It belongs to that branch manager. And now if they want to put them on assignment and send them back to that location, that's on the branch manager. But after we send them to school on that PCS now, we don't have any control on where they go after that.
So the big driving factor of that is money. So the cutoff is 20 weeks. So the Army is not going to pay for someone to be in a TDY status, drawing per diem, living in hotels and all that good stuff for more than 20 weeks. So if it's 19 weeks and 6 days, there's opportunity for a TDY return. But once it says 20 weeks, it's determined by the Army G357 that they're going to PCS there because it's cheaper for the Army to move the soldier, their family, and everything else and give them housing allowance versus putting them in a temporary status and paying a housing allowance for another location.
Yeah, because it all comes down to the money that we're going to pay. So we don't have to pay all that extra money. We got a question. This was for you, Mr. Race. With those that had a mandatory reclass and had a bonus in their last MOS, so I'm guessing from the way I read it is they were in an old MOS, they got a bonus for it, but they got mandatory reclassed out of that MOS, and the new MOS has a pretty good bonus too. Would there still be recoupment of the previous bonus?
No, we do not reclass. We do not recoup bonuses on mandatory reclass. Typically, especially if there's a bonus when they're going to the new MOS. But again, that's going to come down to Mr. Smith and whatever decision they make on the decision report.
So the big thing is, why were you a mandatory reclass? If you got a DUI and no longer qualified to be an 88 Mike, there's a good chance your bonus is going to be recouped. If you're a mandatory reclass, for instance, I've seen some questions about 25 Lima is in the precision. That's not your fault that the MOS is over strength, or it's not your fault. As a lot of you know, the 25s has got a big structure change coming up in October. That's not their fault. The Army's changing structure. They will be a mandatory reclass at some point unless they're proactive and volunteer. So if you read those MILPER messages, it says specifically in there they would not be recouped. So if it's your fault, you're probably going to get recouped. If not, the decision was made to put you in that MOS, and then there's a good chance you're going to keep your previous bonus and possibly qualify for the new bonus, depending on where you're at in your career and all that good stuff.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, and like we told them a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about bonuses before. Honestly, it's up to your career counselor to get with the commander to initiate that recoupment. At the end of the day, if the career counselor doesn't initiate the recoupment, then Mr. Race has no idea that you got a bonus. Mr. Smith has no idea that we're trying to recoup your bonus, and nobody's going to take your money. I promise you. Not that I said that out loud.
You did say that.
Not that I said that out loud. Right? Sam, you had a question there was a question that we had. So we had a question from Jonathan Morgan. I reenlisted 11 June. What's the typical way for a reenlistment bonus to hit the account? I was able to get a tier 8 bonus for 60 months. Damn, tier 8 for 60 months. If you was an E5 or E6, you just got paid, man. You should have told people that. You should not have told people you got a tier 8.
I got it.
Somebody gonna find you, man. You about to get that Tesla money. All right, go ahead, Mr. Race.
All right. When it comes to time frame on paying bonuses, we tell soldiers that they should not be waiting more than 30 days from the date of reenlistment. So let me break down the reason why. So when a soldier reenlists, I submit bonuses once a week to finance for payment, anywhere from $400 to $550. When I submit those bonus payments, I only do that once a week. So today I sent this week's bonus file out for payment. Okay. Now we are required to wait a minimum of 10 days from the reenlistment date before we can send anything to finance. And the reason is because we have a system interface agreement with finance that says we will provide a minimum of 10 days to ensure that any follow-up transactions that are going to affect the soldier's finance record are completed prior to us submitting any type of an incentive, whether it's bonus or a written bonus agreement for our career soldiers that are already in DEF. So what happens is we have to wait a minimum of 10 days. So let's say that your 10th day is on a Thursday. Well, that means that I had just sent the bonus file the day before that. So we're not going to send that until the next following Wednesday. So right there, you're looking at a minimum of about 2.5 weeks. And then typically our processor at finance will pay those bonuses normally within 3 to 5 days of the date that we send it, maybe 6 days. So in probably 90% of all the cases, it's probably going to be closer to 3 weeks. But we always like to tell soldiers 30 days so that if I'm on leave or if our processor's on leave, or if we have a system that happened to go down and we can't send a file for that week, or there's a holiday or any other case, that gives us kind of a week buffer on when it's going to be from 30 days. Now, having said all that, that applies to soldiers who received an inventory or a location bonus. If you have a future training bonus, I screen every single future training bonus every Wednesday morning. So, and I know when every soldier's scheduled to graduate in the system. So what I'll do is I'll look at every single soldier and I'll see what MOS or SQI ASI they were scheduled to graduate in. And if I see that they have successfully graduated the course in ATARs, then I will release that bonus to go out that day. The other factor is if there's an error. If for whatever reason a career counselor made an error on the record, then that's something that we have to adjudicate through the case management system, which is a finance system. Career counselors are the only non-finance entity that has access to CMS and the entire DOD. So any type of those adjudications, obviously we have to wait for the career counselor to submit it to us. Fast ID will adjudicate it. He'll do whatever memorandum he needs to do. I'll sign the memorandum, and then typically we'll try to get that out the same day if it's a bonus day. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to explain that it's typically within 30 days. If you have a bonus that you know is scheduled to be paid and it hasn't gotten into your bank account within 30 days, then you need to ask your career counselor, because there might be something going on like a TSP validation.
That's been big. A lot of people haven't noticed. Like, I have one soldier, and I'm an old soldier now. I can consider myself an old soldier. I don't got Sergeant Major Johnson time, but I'm close, right? Not really. Like he was already in death by the time I came in the Army, but right. But like I didn't know about if they did the blended retirement system, that they had to go in there and change the option on there before they got the bonus. So that's something good to know.
Well, and the TSP validation, the reason why we started doing that is we had soldiers who, they're going through basic training and they're doing exactly what everybody's shouting at them to do, and they're checking boxes. They don't know what they're checking. So some of them, they contribute a significant amount of their bonus to the thrift savings program and they don't know it. So what was happening was we were paying $50,000 bonuses with 100% going into their TSP, and they're wondering why they didn't receive their bonus. So what we ended up doing, and the other thing that people don't realize is once the TSP validation is sent into their TSP, if they end up having that reversed, they got to pay the penalties as if they did an early withdrawal. And it was a significant issue with soldiers who were getting all their bonuses sent to TSP, So in order for us to combat that, we developed a process that identifies anybody who's got 15% or more going to either traditional or Roth. We flag that account and we withhold it to say, hey, validate with the soldier first to make sure that they want to send that 15 or 50 or 100% to TSP. And then once we verify that, then we'll go ahead and get it sent out. And that process shouldn't take more than 3 to 5 days. Unfortunately, a lot of times it takes quite a bit longer than that, but it really shouldn't take longer than 3 to 5 days. But that's the reason why we implemented that.
So Alex and Nicole Rivera said, y'all are the dream team, the HRC dream team. That's what they said. And they comment. And then somebody else said, we have the VIPs on tonight. So
hey,
I
that's
guess
our major. That's our major.
y'all don't know. Y'all not career. If you're not out there, you're not a career counselor. These guys are legends. All three of them.
Get fine, man.
Hey, that's all I'm here for. That's why I'm wearing my unit sweatshirt tonight, so I don't get in trouble. Sergeant Major got mad at me last time wearing the ForceCon sweatshirt. He got mad at me. But no, hey, great information, guys. We're gonna wrap it up in a few minutes. I really appreciate all of y'all coming on. Usually, what we do at the end is we'll give you each of our guests a moment or two, do a shout out, and recognize anybody they want to recognize. But before that, we got a question on the screen. I see. Is it possible for a specialist promotable without BLC to reclass to a shortage MOS that's only open to specialist non-promotables?
And overall answer to that is yes. But you have to make one of two choices. One is you'd have to submit a request to the proponent and ask for a waiver. Or two, since you don't have BLC, you're not getting promoted anyway. Drop your promotable status to pursue your goals with the shortage MOS. So either way it goes, we could still do it, but without the proponent memo, we cannot do anything, as we don't make the qualifications. We only have to adhere to the established qualifications when we reclass somebody. So unless that proponent waives it, we can't do anything.
Okay. Shantae, you had a question?
Yeah, so I believe one of our last, here it is right here. So just not to put you on the spot, but to kind of close us out, are there any short fuse trainings that you can tell us about for our audience that are wanting to reclassify like ASAP? So
short fuse training never went away. It just got slim for a little while because in FY20 during COVID, we had a lot of people that didn't go to training. So we was using every seat that we could get our hand on to accommodate renegotiating people's contracts, getting people rescheduled and things like that. So, I mean, we just got a list this week. There's plenty of 74 Delta seats on there. Great opportunities. You know, a couple of years ago, people called us 14 mongers because we put a lot of E5s into 14 and they came out staff sergeants. And I know somebody's question in there says, is promoting the right way to go? We're seeing people get promoted and they don't even know how to be a sergeant. So keep in mind that HRC, it's never personal, it's business. The Army needs a sergeant or a staff sergeant. If that commander signs it, we're trusting that that commander is making the right decision to say he or she would be a good sergeant or a staff sergeant if they're continuing to serve. So we're not involved with determining if they'd be a great sergeant or not. We look at their record. Do they qualify for what we're looking at? And will they qualify for a promotion? And if the answer is yes, we're going to make that non-biased decision to give them that opportunity.
Awesome. Mic drop.
Yeah, just drop it. Right. Hey, and so we're gonna wrap it up. Soldiers first. Yeah, my cup is not soldiers first, so I'm not gonna promote it tonight. Hey, so we're gonna wrap it up. Sergeant Major, who do you want to give a shout out to, if anybody?
Hey, yeah, I want to give a shout out to my team, man. RRB. We got some great professionals there, starting with Jamie Smith. Hey, he's a man with so much knowledge. I go to him every day, ask him questions every day. Brandon, me and Brandon went to SLC together. So he has a lot of knowledge about bonuses. Mr. Bragg, who's our division chief, our branch chief. I tell you, when he speaks, everybody listens.
He knows.
Shout out to my NCOIC, Master Sergeant Rivera, Sergeant First Class Sergeant First Class Dunham, Sergeant First Class Fascia, Staff Sergeant Smith, all the civilians at RRB. I tell you, if they work hard every day for what we have in this field right now. And give a shout out to our new senior Army Career Counselor, Sergeant Major Whitney. He stepped in.
Also known as the SAC.
Yeah, he's the SAC. He's stepping up right now. He's going to do some great things for the field.
Cool.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for having us on here today, though. It's been fun.
Anytime. Jamie, Mr. Smith, who you want to shout out? I know you want to give a big shout out to all the Louisville players still in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I got to go. So, just so you know, people say I have a lot of knowledge. I don't have a lot of knowledge. I'm just old and I read. Up there with the civilians, the group of civilians up there right now are a bunch of old school, passionate career counselors. Mr. Race and I were serving together in 2002 and 3. We went to Iraq together in 2003. Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Fast, Mr. Race, we were all in 1st Armor Division back leading into the OIF. Mr. Bragg was my instructor back in 1987 or 97 when I reclassed.
Legend.
We're all, it's almost like a family reunion every day when we go to work. Sergeant Major, he's been around with that operation since he said 2007. I remember when he was a young staff sergeant. But, that team up there truly cares about what we do, how we do it. And we try to make a non-biased decision every single day to find that win for somebody. I want to give a shout out to the career counselors. A lot of them out there are doing a fantastic job. The soldiers are doing a fantastic job. It's a lot of turmoil, a lot of stuff going on. And sometimes it's easy to lose focus of where you're at, what you're doing, because all of this peripheral vision crap going on. So keep being good soldiers. Some people are like, hey, thank you, this or that. Some people always, sometimes they're like, hey, I want to get you something for hooking this up. I didn't hook anything up. I did what was right for the Army. And I ask you in return, if we approve you to reclass or we approve you an exception to policy, go out there and earn that exception, earn that reclass, get the most out of it, get the promotions, get the bonuses, do something well for your family. When you get those approvals, don't just sit back and say, well, I got an exception, now I'm going to be an E5. You should be working that next day for E6. So I want to shout out to the soldiers, our team, like Sergeant Major said, crew counselors. Everybody's doing a great job. It's just a lot going on. Cancel that stuff out of your vision and focus on what's real, your family, your career, and everything else will work out. It worked out for me, and, I'm Bobo the Clown to most. So if I could do it, anybody could do
it. Much appreciated. Yeah, definitely, everybody pay it forward, but don't let Jamie fool you with all that humble stuff. Jamie is a smart man. He might downplay it. He is a UK fan. So, I know that takes people down a few levels.
That's not the worst thing, is he a UK fan?
Well, if you're not aware, UK is the winningest basketball team in history of college basketball.
Oh, my goodness.
Not this year. But no, hey, Jamie has a lot of knowledge. Brandon, who do you want to give a shout out to?
Jim Bragg always keeps us grounded. Sometimes it's really hard, especially in the bonus arena. Sometimes it's really hard with, some of the things that we see as far as errors. And he's always quick to remind us that, we only deal with the bad stuff when it comes to bonus resolution. We don't deal with the 98% of the good bonuses that are paid every day. So he keeps us grounded along with Sergeant Major. I'd like to thank Tom Whitehouse. He keeps us straight, and especially James Fast, because I know that some people think that Mr. Fast is a little grumpy, but he's very passionate, and he's got the soldiers number one in his heart, and that's just the way he is, and so I'd like to give him a shout out. But I think that having the team that we have at HRC, it really makes it easy to go to work, because we know that everybody's got each other's back no matter what. And I think the career counselors know that, and if they don't, then they should. So yep.
No, much appreciated. We really appreciate all the y'all doing a great job. You do a great job every day. And it's good to see that the soldiers now can put a face to the people that help them, not just the career counselors, because they don't believe me when I tell them that I'm not the one that gets them anything. Now they know for real I'm not lying to them, that I don't get them nothing. It's everybody up at HRC. Sam, I know you're in PCS mode, but who do you want to shout out this week?
I actually want to shout out all the soldiers who are PCSing right now. I feel you with the transportation storage. I got it. I'm right there with you. I feel all of your pain. And don't worry, there is light at the end of the tunnel, I promise. But don't give up hope for those people on transition. I tell you, it's been a headache, but and then the soldiers keep asking your questions, keep coming to see us. If you see somebody with a badge on, don't hesitate. I've been, I'll answer questions in Walmart if I have a badge on and you see it and you want to ask me a question. Done it before. And the career counselors, keep taking care of all them soldiers because we are the SMEs and they need us. So just be there for them. And thank you all for coming on. I appreciate it. I've been kind of out of the loop, so it was nice to have it back with the legends.
So,
Hashtag legends. Shantae, what you got?
All right, so you all know I'm the long-winded one. So first and foremost, I would like to thank these professionals for being on our show tonight. I know we're all in our off time. They've worked all day. So I really appreciate you guys coming on here tonight, helping, like he said, put faces to the names, kind of letting our audience understand, what is behind them just signing a piece of paper. So we really appreciate that. Brandon, we're going to be talking tomorrow. And then also, today's June 30th. It's the last day of the month. And before we close out, I want to, again, bring that awareness that it is Pride Month and it is PTSD Awareness Month. It's the last day just for us to publicly recognize it, but it's not the last day. We are always going to support everyone. So we will be changing our profile picture back. Hopefully that makes some of you guys happy tomorrow. But yeah, again, we are here for you guys. Continue to send us those questions in our inbox. We may not have gotten to your question today with these professionals, but you're in luck because we do interface with them quite a bit. So if there's something that we weren't able to answer, we'll get that for you. And again, great show. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Tim.
Hey, Tim, before you close it, can I have just a few minutes to run down these questions?
Go ahead.
4 minutes. So
you got all the time in the world. I'm just going to keep here and sipping.
Hey, Herrera, 25 Lima, you asking your question. They're 140% strength at 10 level, and they're 126% strength at staff sergeant. So it doesn't make sense to keep soldiers in there. That's why they're being forced to reclass. We probably did about 15 or 20 in the last 2 weeks. 25 Charlie and a lot of the other signal MOSs are going through structure change. There's MILPER messages out there to give some guidance on those. Let's see, we asked 74. I'm not sure what this one's talking about. Retirement. Consider retirement possesses skills at the Army. So you're talking about RCP. On this one, it's asked about incentives for soldiers to be considered for retirement or continue to stay. I think that's what it means. The reason we have RCPs is some people don't move up, so they have to go out to create opportunities for other people. Now, there are a few skills in the Army that does offer incentives to keep people past 20 years. But all of those people are qualified to serve past 20 years based on their rank. Special Forces community being one of them. 79 Romeo SRB coming back. Probably not anytime soon because the MOS is heavy. You're at 100% for your E6s. Your E7s have been over strength. They're still promoting E7s off sequence numbers. So I think there was last I looked, there was 40 people would still have sequence numbers. So as Mr. Race explained the bonus process, you got to justify and not violate law to do this stuff to get people bonuses. And right now there's just no justification based on strengths. So increasing their line scores, Herrera. So if you can't get an Ed Center, you can go to Barnes and Nobles and they have ASVAB study guides. Okay. And if you want to raise your GT score, there's 4 areas: mathematical knowledge, arithmetic, reasoning, word knowledge, and paragraph comprehension. Those 4 areas of the ASVAB study guide will increase the GT. And typically, if your GT goes up, your ST will go up. The others are more skill-based, and if you don't know which way that cog is turning and that gear is going, then you probably need to have a low mechanical score so you don't end up as a mechanic. Let's see.
While he's looking, let me just interject on one real quick. We do have a Herrera. You asked if there was an incentive for soldiers who consider retirement but possess skills that may be in the interest of the Army. We do have a program called the Written Bonus Agreement, which pays indefinite soldiers who are serving on an indefinite term a bonus to stay from 20 to 24 years, $100,000 currently for 18 series and for cyber. So we do have that program. Just throwing that out there. Yep.
Get them.
The one about PCSing, I know there's a big concern. PCSing or TDY for 18 weeks and 3 days. So when you actually go to your reassignment section, depending on where you're at and where you're going, you will have a training follow-on. And the reason your branch said there's nothing they can do about it, because our branch is going to put a soldier on a training follow-on for TDY Lent training. Branch managers cannot affect that at all. Once they give us the requisition, our readiness division gives us a requisition and we put them on assignment, it's locked out from branch managers to manipulating it. But when you go to reassignments, they're going to go through your PCS process, and there's 4 options that you have depending on your status, and they'll go over that. And if you have an extremely long TDY Lent training, there is the option that you can go to your next location. Say you're going to Fort Hood, it's a great place. You can sign in for housing purposes only and move your family into housing. However, if you sign into your unit, now you may or may not be going to training because you're on assignment there in the new MOS. And if you sign into that unit, now in order for you to go that training, TDY, that unit would have to pay for that training. So we would have to do a lot of work and undo you signing in. But you can contact housing and coordinate to get your family there sooner so they don't have to go stay at grandma and grandpa's house or wherever it works out to be. I don't know anything. I sat in a meeting yesterday about OMLs.
Yeah, OMLs is a dark area. It's an area that we got. So before I get yelled at by my boss about us going over, we will make sure that we answer all of your questions. Mr. Smith is going to get on the page. He's going to answer. Mr. Race is going to answer questions on the page. Shantae's going to answer questions. Sam's going to answer questions. I'm not going to answer questions. I'm not going to lie to y'all and tell y'all I am, because I'm not. I'm just here for it, right? But we really appreciate all 3 of y'all coming on. Like I said, I really appreciate the 3 of y'all. Me and Jamie, I talk to Jamie all the time. He plays like he's not the smartest man in the world, but every time I ask him a question, I feel dumber every time I ask him a question. So that just tells you maybe that's more about me than it is about him, but it is what it is, right? And me and Sergeant Major, we always joking. I'll call him up, be like, I'll make a joke, and then I'll be like, hey, can you give me the assignment? He'll try to help me out with the assignment. We do what we do. But I really appreciate all of y'all coming on. We really appreciate it. I ain't gonna lie, I've been drinking a little bit and I'm hungry, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I am gonna give my quick shout outs though. I want to give a quick shout out to who I always give shout outs to, which is my career counselors. Staff Sergeant Kevin Bingham. That man has done 305 reenlistments as of this morning. 305. He's reenlisted 305 soldiers his damn self. And then my other career counselor, Sergeant First Class Sean Curran, he already has reenlisted 220 soldiers, right? And I want to appreciate all the career counselors I saw this week up here at TRADOC training here at Fort Eustis. I want to give a big shout out to the soldiers at Fort Eustis. If y'all don't know, don't ever call this place Fort Useless. It is the Army's hidden secret. I know they say that shit about Fort Drum, right? But Fort Eustis is the perfect area in the whole world, man. Like, you got everything around you. I know Jamie was here for a quick second, but I'm telling you, I love this place. The Army gonna have to get me out of my pry me from my cold dead hands to get me out of here, right? But thank y'all, and I appreciate y'all, and we appreciate y'all, and we'll be back next time. Thank y'all so much.
Stanley Brownell, send up your 17 Charlie packet, dude.
Send that packet up, Sandy. Send it up.